Lynchburg men's basketball head coach Hilliary Scott will begin with an opening statement and then field questions from there.
Well, I'm excited about this year. As a coach, you certainly get excited about a group that you have a lot of production and productivity returning. You're always mad at the end of a season when you lose. I think it was a different kind of disappointment this past spring. We had a couple lean years where we're not playing up to our standards of Lynchburg basketball, and I think that all shook us to the core. So I think we were mad in different ways. I think this past spring was you hate to lose, but I think it was to see the reactions of our guys in the locker room in Salem gave me a ton of encouragement, excitement for what I thought they could do this coming year. And they've really translated that from really the spring, right after we lost. Gave them a week off. I think they went spring break soon after that, and they hit the ground running in terms of being in the gym. Lifting went up another notch. Had the majority of my guys back for the summer. And then, certainly hit the ground running when we started school. So I think the excitement, the encouragement, the urgency, all of the key coaching terms were there. So I'm excited to get started. This is one of these teams where as coaches I always heard, hey, I had some coaching buddies, some guys who've been in the business for a long time, and they used to say, man, I hate games. And I was like, I guess the coaching part, the player part of me was like, how do you hate games? I think they enjoy the teaching piece of practice, and I can see where that came from. But I think this is a group that we need to start playing some games to kind of see where we are. And it's probably hasn't been like that in a while, in a sense that I felt like practice has been super, super important to us. But I think it's time for us to start playing some games to kind of see where we are.
Coach, what are your goals and expectations for this year's group?
To be honest, every year we go into it where we feel like we want to have a chance to win an ODAC championship. And, I look back at my first few years here, and my first recruiting class came through here, and them as seniors, we were 19-8, and we finished 5th in the league. And I thought to myself, will we ever be able to win the league here? It's the best record we had since the mid-'80s, and I was looking around like, I don't know if we could do it here. And obviously us winning in 2016 gave us some hope. Us winning a first-round tournament game gave us some hope. And now when you look at our league, if you can just get out of this league, I think you got a chance to win the whole thing. And so obviously our first goals is to win as many games as we can, go into every opponent an opportunity and see it as such. But we all want to try to win an ODAC championship. And we feel like if you have a chance to do that, then you got a chance to have some bigger goals. We obviously want to win a national championship here, and I think that's the standard of what athletics are here at Lynchburg. So we want to be another team that can have that shot as well.
Obviously, depth is always a great problem for a coach to have, and this year that seems like one problem that is on your plate.
Yep.
You bring back a very talented returning group from last year that is now fully healthy, along with a big talented class of freshmen and transfers. How have you started to gel those two groups together?
Yeah, I put a lot of credit on our old guys. I think that your chemistry and culture is established by the head coach, but it's really a way of being, re-emphasized by your players. And our old guys, it really every year has taken in our freshmen and new guys like their brothers, to their families. And I give a lot of credit to those guys. Obviously, we're all competing for minutes and want to, be successful, but at the same time, I think they also understand the bigger picture of who we are with Lynchburg basketball. Not only can these freshmen or new guys help us this year, but they also know how important that is for the future of our program. So I give them a lot of credit. They do not take new guys as a threat, even though They aren't coming in to try to compete for minutes. I think they see him as, hey, this is another guy that can help us be successful. And also, we talk about this a lot, is what do you want your program to look like after you leave? And that really boils down to how our leaders and our old guys, kind of emphasize what our culture is about.
Who are a few guys that have really impressed you with big steps in the offseason from Salem to where we are now?
Individually,
Yes,
really, man, I'm just excited about all our old guys. I think they all have gotten stronger. Certain guys have, changed their bodies certain ways. Obviously, Jason Easton coming back healthy is very important to us. He's playing really well last year before he went down. So I just think in terms of, I always feel like we sit down at the end of the year and you tend to make your biggest jump from your freshman to your sophomore year. And then you want to make kind of increment improvements and steps each year from there. And I feel like our seniors have done that. They're different players than what they were as freshmen. Our junior class took some big strides the last 2 years. And I'm just excited about what they look like physically, conditioning-wise, the knowledge of what we're trying to do. That's the part as a coach we're super excited about. We got an old group. We're always constantly teaching, but I always feel like an old group you can, start to tinker and do some things that you may have not been able to do as young guys.
Yeah, kind of going into that, I think you guys have a good mix of older guys with some really great experience and some younger guys coming in that could really shine. Who are some of those younger guys coming in who you expect to maybe have an influential role in the team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think our entire new group of guys will have a chance to be very, very good before it's all said and done. Jaden Palmore, DJ Ross, Ty Sanders, Jesse Mitchell, those guys, hope I'm not forgetting somebody. Caden Hammond is dealing with an injury that might be a year-ending injury. So, our guys that are healthy right now, we're hoping they'll have a chance to really help us. And I always throw Jason Easton in that class. I feel like he's a new guy back in the mix. And DeAndre Ross was not with us last year, but he's back this year. So you're talking a 7-man, new group this year that was different from last year. And it's unique in the sense that you're adding 2 guys that didn't play last year, but has been part of our program in the past. So we do have a good mix of some new guys. I think, I think they're understanding on the fly what, physicality and the speed of the game and understanding what we're trying to do offensively and defensively all the time. But they all have come from really, really good programs, great high school coaches, great travel teams. So they've been battle tested, and you can see that in practice. And our first scrimmage, didn't look intimidated and look like they belong. And so we're excited about what they're going to look like, not only this year, but really in the future.
A strong non-conference schedule this season for you guys to stack on top of an already challenging conference schedule. What was the mindset with those non-conference opponents being scheduled?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to find a way to get better outside of our conference that's going to help us be battle-tested when we get to the league. I think we played 11 one-possession games with 2 minutes to go last year, and we were 6-5 in those. Obviously, that's got to get better, and I feel like every conference game is a battle. Every conference game will go down to 2 possessions, down at the end of the stretch. So I feel like our out-of-conference games need to have us battle-tested for the league. So I'm excited about what that challenge will have for us. Good mix of some home games, some neutral site games, some road games that I think we'll find out who we are pretty early. But those games will also help us, when we get into the meat of the conference come January and February. And obviously we're hoping that's going to help us at the end of February. I felt like those close games last year helped us make a run in the tournament last year. We were not intimidated or nervous or scared about going on the road in our quarterfinal game to play a ranked opponent. And certainly I think that fueled our confidence when we got, to Salem for the semis. And again, that goes back to, I think, our mindset in the spring sitting in that locker room. They're legitimately mad about how that outcome came down, and I think that has fueled us really. I'm a believer it's never an off season, it's preseason. Once your season's over, it's either preseason or you're in season. So our preseason started right after we lost, and I think they treated it as such.
Last year, Mike Gray received an all-conference nod. It's the first one that you guys got in about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the program?
Yeah, I mean, I went 15 straight years of having an all-conference guy. So I think there was a 2-year stretch here where we didn't. And, I really give a ton of credit and great respect to Mike because he had a Tom Brady situation last year, to be honest. Was in the rotation but not playing a lot early in the season. Jason Easton was playing really well. He goes down with an injury, and you plug Mike Gray in, and now he's an all-conference player by how he produced at the end of the season last year. So I really talk about his just his toughness, his resilience. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, and that was him last year. And I talk more about that than I do his actual play on the court, because he's an example to everyone else, right? You might not be playing early in the season. Are you going to be ready when your number's called? And he certainly was last year, and took that and grasped it and kept moving. And so super proud of him, super proud of the guys to by the end of the season recognize how well he was playing for us, and found a way to continue that through all of those tough games we had at the end. So proud of him, and now we're working on having him to be a complete player now. He scored the ball last year. We need him to play on both sides, and I think he's ready for that challenge. It's going to be different for him. It's not going to be a surprise when we go into games now. He'll be a part of other teams' game plans, and now find a way to help us win a game in different ways.
The age-old saying, there's always only one ball. And from a facilitating aspect, primarily with Jake, but also with Pearson and the Ross brothers, what specific role or impact are they bringing to this year's team when you have so many options from a scoring standpoint?
The great luxury of our team is our point guards that play our pass-first point guards. They want to get others involved. And if I was a player at this time of the year, I would love to play with the point guards that we have. They like to push the tempo. They're a pass-first squad. They really take pride in getting other shots and making them better before their own. And, when you're going into games and you got your point guards, taking 3 or 4 shots in an entire game, but rather, get your other guys in the positions to be successful. Man, we can't ask for more as coaches, is to have a group of, our point guard room is one that really wants to, figure out what we're looking for, who we're trying to attack, and let's find a hot hand and get it to where it needs to get to. So as a coach, it's a great luxury to have, really coaches on the court. Obviously, we've been together with Jake now. This will be 3 years with Jake. But adding DJ Ross and Jaden Palmore into the mix, who are also pass-first point guards who have a lot of, very good basketball IQ folks. These 2 freshmen are asking a ton of questions. And, man, I'm excited about what they can bring to the table. If anything, be able to spare Jake some time where he's not playing 35, 36 minutes a game as he was last year. And if not, hold down the fort, be even better when those guys come in.
Coach, defense is typically just as much of a mental game as it is a physical one. So how would you describe this group's defensive mantra?
Yeah, last year we had a very solid year defensively last year. Looking at our numbers on Synergy and going through a lot of our analytics, our defense last year was very solid. And if we can be as good or even a little bit better this year, I think we'll be excited about that. And our defense has to fuel our offense. I think that was probably the biggest knock on us last year. Was we played some really good defense last year. We just were not able to convert on those opportunities. So we've been spending a lot of time, here in the preseason trying to figure out ways for us to score off of our misses. We chart those things. It's going to be very important that we get to that mix. And obviously, like every year, our defense has to fuel our offense and try to stay away from those 2 or 3 minute lulls where we didn't score last year. And I think, being able to score off of our defense will help us. But again, having an older group, they understand how important that end of the court is for us. And they've been taking pride in that. And again, we chart those things. We got numbers to show it. And they've bought into that end. And they bought into it last year. We just now got to put both sides of the court together, right? And, we had some games where we scored it well, and maybe that was an off day defensively for us. Pretty solid consistently last year defensively. Now we've got to put that offensive into the mix. And again, having an older group, they've bought into what that's going to look like for this year.
Coach, you said, that at the end of the season, you guys were mad in the locker room, wanted to get right back after it, right after, the end of the season. What do you say, what would you think is the biggest lesson or biggest takeaway that your guys have from last season that you hope that they carry into this season?
Well, let's just look at stats-wise. Taking an analytic kind of swing to it, we've got to be able to take care of the ball better this year, and we've got to make free throws better than we were last year. Those two things, if we can just improve on those two areas, should hopefully help us, be successful. Now we're not even talking about shooting the ball better and maybe rebounding a little bit better, but if we just take those two things, kind of came to a head for us in that semifinal game. If we make some free throws down the stretch, made some free throws in some of those closer games that we lost, I think those certainly will help us this year. But I think they also realize we just got to get better in every aspect. You know what I mean? We got to get stronger. We got to be more conditioned. We got to shoot the ball better. We got to make free throws. We got to take care of it. We got to execute our stuff down the stretch. I think they understand we just got to get better. And we got to put more time in off the court. And they have done that, since our loss. And that's from the weight room. That's getting extra running in. That's, getting in the gym and getting extra shots. That's taking care of their bodies. It's getting rest. There's, taking the athletic training clinic serious, flexibility. All of those things come into being a successful team, and they really have bought into all of those things. And again, I really am excited about what example they're showing our younger guys too. So now our younger guys are seeing how the older guys are doing it. So I think that will certainly help us as well.
During his freshman year, Jamarcus really showed out and showed that he was a very raw, talented, athletic prospect. How have you seen his game grow and develop into a sophomore season?
He's gotten stronger, believe it or not. Believe it or not, he's a one of one. I say that all the time. He's a one of one, and for him to get here and really, see the strides that he's made in the weight room. Somebody as athletic as him, I feel like he's gotten more athletic. I think he's seen the urgency of what it takes to be very good. I see it in practice every day. We talk about it. Jamarcus, I want to see you dominate every drill, every rep, every segment, every half, every minute. Like every time that you're on the court, I need you to show everybody else who you are. And I want that to translate to when we're playing games, out of conference games. And I really think he's taken that to heart. He's coming from a winning program at Tunstall High School, and he's really taken that winning attitude here. And someone that is a sponge, man. He wants to get better. He wants to win. He wants to serve his teammates. So I'm excited for everyone else to see how he's improved, since last year. But like I said, he's a sponge, loves watching film, loves having conversations in practice. I just think overall just work ethic, urgency, just all of those things is the words I use for him that I've seen, on the practice court, in the weight room, really since, we lost in the spring.